I got a mighty.
Okay, guys, we got the creative constraint of 11 minutes.
And a fat boy.
I am here with the Mystic Misfits to discuss the topic that I introduced earlier about what the title of this video is. I'm basically introducing the Breaking Normal Academy, and I pointed out who the Academy is probably not for, and that's people that are attached to thinking like going to school means to being told when to talk and when to sit down and when to eat. And even in kindergarten, I remember there was a time when they were trying to tell me when I could sleep. Did y'all take
nap time.
Holy macaroni, bro! This is crazy. That is straight up domestication. If anyone here has ever domesticated goats or cows or any farm animals, there's probably this eerily resonance between the school system as it was when I went through it, which I'm happily graduated from. And now I'm so happily about it that I've been inspired to create the Breaking Normal Academy, and I'm so stoked to have people like the Mystic Misfits in my life that are like seemingly waiting for it, and they're doing their own version of it, and they're waiting for me to do it. Do y'all have anything? Anybody feeling led to expound upon this?
What's crazy, what's coming up for me is the school system as it exists now. Like if a time traveler came back from like 1900, the only thing they would recognize is the education system, because it hasn't changed a bit. And it's actually based on like factory operant conditioning. Bell rings, get up and eat. Bell rings, go back to your shift. Bell rings, go to sleep. It's literally like the psychologists were like planning this, and they're like, oh, these will make great workers later if we educate them like this.
It feeds into the industrial system.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's specialization. And Daniel, I know I've talked with you about this book, Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill.
One of my favorites.
And it's crazy. He's interviewing the devil, Napoleon Hill is. And it was like such a radical book for the time he wrote it. And the devil's talking about the many tricks he would use to keep the people drifting and in a spell. And he goes into the education system, and as you just pointed out, talks about it. And you would know that this book was written, 80, 90 years ago? It sounds the exact same. My experience with the education system was exactly what he talks about. And the devil's is how he'd use this to keep people under a spell.
It's a great audiobook. I highly recommend everyone watching this, if you have not downloaded that or the Breaking Normal audiobook, to do that now. I love Outwitting the Devil is one of my favorites for sure.
Yeah. I mean, coming from the person who, I'm not certain of this, but I imagine I probably got suspended the most out of anybody in here.
He's a delinquent.
I also went
misfit of sorts.
Yeah. Also, while I didn't get kicked out of high school, I was strongly encouraged to go to alternative school. So I went to alternative school, which is basically for all the fuck ups go to alternative school, right?
We said it not me.
But during that time, I'd spend a lot of time in detention, and I would just read voraciously. I was always getting in trouble for reading the wrong thing. I hated my textbooks. I got labeled as ADHD, all those things that the dumb kids aren't supposed to do. Yeah. I just remember thinking, man, I felt like such an outcast and a misfit because for some reason I just could never do it right in school. And turns out, I was actually very intelligent, but the system of sitting there for hour after hour after hour and being told what to do, I was already such a kind of rebel that it just did not work for me. I actually think it stifles creativity instead of encouraging.
Come on now, come on.
You weren't that easy to mold into the cookie that they were told to mold you into.
That's true.
Yeah, I can see how that could be frustrating for teachers. Then it builds up to the idea of a company versus, because with the events that I do, I don't know if y'all are doing very similar awesome things in there. It's like a fun resonance between all of us. Yeah. I'm not sure if y'all ever got accused of running a cult.
Oh yeah.
Okay. That's when you know you made it.
We've been called cult leaders before.
That's when you know you made it.
I definitely believe I'm a creator of new culture. So I don't even know what the definition of cult is, but the biggest cults I see are companies. Yeah,
corporate cults.
Yeah. I don't really know. These people are literally. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, showing up for an allotted period of time, they're giving away what I would judge to be arguably our most valuable commodity, which is our time and our presence and where we give our gifts to, and they're, I guess, sacrificing that and showing up with a leash on their neck. And showing it off and wanting and telling other people that's how it's supposed to be.
Sounds a lot like
Is that yeah? That sounds cultish to me.
That sounds like a fucking prison.
And I understand, like some of these. I understand. I'm not undermining anyone that's their passion, and I do believe this is how culture evolves. But I just think there's a bit of a dissonance between maybe what a cult is. What is a cult?
I think it's right there in the word. It's the root word of culture.
The root of a culture.
Yeah.
The root of a culture, potentially.
And
there
so
you go.
maybe in the
Webster,
beginning,
you don't even know what's going on.
Consultants.
in the beginning, the cult might be like over the top and absurd, and I think a mark of the cult is what you just said. They're actively trying to convert, which is an interesting phenomenon, right? Like, hey, this is the way it should be. By my culture.
And they do it, and the crazy part is that from my understanding, they can do it by telling a person that I'll get your numbers to move on the screen this much. I can guarantee your numbers will move on your phone bank app this much for this month, and you're going to give me 40 hours a week. Your full undivided attention, right? Is that how this
Sounds like
works?
a deal with the devil.
It provides certainty. And I think that it's somewhat of a cultural thing to be certain, to like have that
secure,
to be secure.
Sure.
Like 501k.
Okay, I got a news
Bible.
flash. That everything is faith based. That no one knows what's going on, regardless of what they say. And I believe, and I could, or afterwards I can say I know everything, and I believe I know what's going on, but don't trust me. But I look at Lacey. Lacey said, or Alicia, she's coming to Costa Rica with her husband Eric. Have you all met them? Amazing people.
Not to drink the Kool-Aid.
Not to drink the Kool-Aid.
Do it.
You'll be drinking the coconut water.
It's confidential.
It's good.
You'll be hydrating on Costa Rican coconuts. Far more
So I
nutritious.
think you bring up a good point, Jordan. I guess I'm being a little bit of a smart ass in a way, but I guess it's the illusion of security that keeps people attached to their leash or their tie or whatever it is, or their backpack.
What's funny is like on live videos I've seen people tell me like, why don't you get a job and work a real hard day's work, and that says talking to a camera. It's like, what do you do? It's like, wow. I remember I used to trade 40 hours a week to move numbers in my account. I remember doing that.
You just did it.
I almost now I'm wondering like if there's any hackers out there. Now I see the enlightenment of hackers. Because so if I was a hacker, but I think the first thing I might do is just completely move everyone's money everywhere in all directions, just like completely randomize it around the world, and then just to see, and then wow, I wonder what would happen actually.
You might crash civilization. Civilization.exe has failed to crash.
Man, I wonder if
Crypto's
someone's
kind of doing that, right? In a sense.
Crypto's hurting right now, but it is disrupting economics for sure.
What was the 3 topics of this? Because I want to keep
Domestication,
this straight.
education, cult, and corporations, and
Leash and tie, we covered it.
Yeah,
Does anyone have any questions? We did good. We are doing good. Have y'all caught yourself ever having a really good time and then you say that was fun? No, this is fun. And I am potentially programming my reality with the symbols that I'm choosing to express.
Yeah, I think one of the hallmarks too of a cult is like groupthink and discouraging any kind of question asking. That's a big one that has been a hallmark. I think that's one of the things that is the easiest way to separate what's a cult versus what is, say, a movement is, are they actively discouraging your questions? Are they encouraging you? A lot of
great
times,
sign.
Yeah, and that's always kind of like what I found fascinating about school is there's a right or wrong answer. There's grading systems, and that's good. But it's like no, if you think differently, you're wrong because there is this truth, and it's our truth. It's not yours. So what your truth is wrong until it becomes our truth, and it's dicey.
That's a great freaking point. Now that I'm realizing that a lot. I'm realizing a lot.
your truth is false
that's
until
good. That
proven
is,
rationally.
You're good.
We like right and wrong answers, yes and no, black and white, like strong dualities to tell you, to give you certainty, security. It all ties back to that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of you and we statements. Just
Whoa! Takesies, backsies.
Yeah, I'm curious if anyone watching this video is considering coming to Breaking Normal Academy in Costa Rica, and if your family and friends think you're joining a cult. That might be a great reason to go.
And the funny thing about if this is a cult, what I would say, like based on Maui's cult that we co-created in Maui.
My heart jumps a little bit every time you say that.
A month and a half ago was that it's actually the opposite of what you were saying.
Right.
I thought the kids. We had several kids. Several people brought their children. 2 mothers brought 2 children, and they were so disruptive and defiant, and not at all following the rules. And I was like, exactly. And I was like, when is everyone else going to get what they're showing us? And I was talking to myself as well. So this is definitely not a cult of being told what to do. It's actually probably the opposite. Like we want to see what you can do, and we know you can do it. Okay, cool. Yeah, we're almost right. That's about 11 minutes. We did it. We are doing it, and you're doing it. Thanks for. If you got some value out of this that may shift your life forever, even if it was one sentence, please share this video.
Amen.
Sharing is caring. You get what you give, maybe.